You're probably coming into this video with a very closed mindset, but I'm not hating on Michael Jordan the way someone like Skip Bayless hates on LeBron James. I'm not going to be using fake facts or totally ignore all that Jordan has done for the game, because to an extent, I can respect Michael Jordan. I can appreciate his greatness, his high-flying highlights, and his incredible numbers that he put up almost effortlessly. I can respect his defense, his intensity, and his want to never lose. I can respect him as a basketball player, but not an NBA player. Today, let's examine the difference and why I hate Michael Jordan. My name is Blue Crab Dude. Let's get right into this video. MJ is, in most people's mind, the greatest basketball player of all time. He played basketball very, very good. In 1987, he averaged more points per game than anyone had since the 60s, when Elgin Baylor and Wilt Chamberlain dropped over 38 points per game in a season. And throughout the course of his career, he has dunked from the free throw line and knocked down clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. But being a good NBA player actually involves him having some sort of interaction and appreciation for the league that made him the multimillionaire that he is today. Jordan played basketball to play basketball, which is fine, but his little acknowledgement towards the league that really gave him all his fame and his success really is just absurd in my mind. There are so many other reasons to hate him, but all NBA greats have made mistakes, and usually I am quick to forgive them. But with Jordan, it's simply an ongoing trend, with him making more and more mistakes that he never really seems to learn from. And while as a basketball player I can respect his career accomplishments, his outrageous greed and want for money simply makes me lose complete respect for him off of the court. MJ has $1.6 billion. Yes, billion. The second richest player in NBA history is Junior Bridgman, who literally owns Wendy's and a majority of Chili's, two of the most popular fast food restaurants in the world. So how was Jordan able to almost triple this amount, considering only $93 million came from actually playing basketball? Let's take a look at what he has done with the power that, remember, the NBA gave to him. First off, is a simple and easy way to scam everyone and just annoy everyone he's around. Jordan copyrighted his own name, meaning that companies that want to ever mention him in anything have to pay him money. And while literally every other NBA great tried their best to push the league forward, Jordan is sitting in a mansion, not even attending Hornets games, the team he actually owns, counting his billions. Seriously, every other NBA player is more than just a basketball player. They are a spokesperson trying to push the world forward. But Jordan is nothing but just an NBA player. Magic Johnson is always in the news, never hesitant to state his opinion on current NBA news and ideas. Larry Bird is a former NBA coach who, along with Kobe Bryant, have done interviews to start up a new program in the NBA's current struggling television channel. Meanwhile, Bill Russell hands out the championship trophy each and every season to the team victorious in the finals, despite now being a whopping 84 years of age, while players like Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Dominique Wilkins, Dennis Scott, Grant Hill, Brent Barry, Chauncey Billups, Derek Fisher, Jalen Rose, Kevin Garnett, Rasheed Wallace, Chris Webber, Clyde Drexler, George Gervin, Elgin Baylor, Walt Frazier, and Reggie Miller have all worked for the NBA just this year in the commentary industry, while players such as Derek Fisher, Jeff Hornacek, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Mike Woodson, Larry Bird, Willis Reed, Bill Russell, Patrick Ewing, Magic Johnson, Kevin McHale, Danny Ainge, Steve Nash, Jerry Stackhouse, Jerry West, and Vlade Divac have either coached an NBA team or had a job work for a professional franchise after retirement. I'm literally out of breath after saying all of those names. That's literally every NBA great ever. And those greats who haven't been involved in the NBA in recent years, such as Karl Malone, John Stockton, and Tim Duncan, have turned their lives around in different ways, their sheer humbleness moving them to live simply and getting out of the spotlight. Even current players such as LeBron James are powerful speakers that are doing all in their power to move the league forward and state their opinions on all sorts of controversial topics. Because it's almost common sense for other professional athletes to give back to the NBA, the place where they were able to let their talents truly shine. But the NBA won't even contact MJ anymore after many failed attempts in the past. Look up Michael Jordan in the search bar, and what is he in the news about? Someone copying his baseball pitch and a conversation he had with PJ Tucker about how nice his shoes were. Practically nothing. This man is not in the news anymore. Look up Magic Johnson and his movie theaters selling out tickets of Black Panther, while in the news he's making speeches congratulating Kobe Bryant on his Oscar win. And that's exactly it. The NBA is one big community of retired greats coming together to reflect on their lives, work together, and use their craft to build the NBA up. But Jordan has shunned himself from this society of players, never speaking out on anything, and therefore being treated as less of a human being, but a godlike creature in the NBA world. Because when players speak out on issues affecting the sport of basketball or smaller communities, their willingness to work and recognize normal people make people realize that these players are just normal people like themselves with more power and just more athletic ability. And while we may look up at their work and praise them for it, all these NBA players have just fallen into Jordan's evil trap. His belief that he is above everybody being proven correct time and time again as more and more players take their time to help others. And this is so unfortunate considering helping others is such a positive thing. And the more he chooses to shy away from the public, the less opportunity reporters and the public have to recognize and question him on all the controversial things that have occurred throughout his career. And that's why all of these things are quickly ignored. MJ just never spoke of them or gave anyone the chance to talk with him about them. But let's go through the list, shall we? Because MJ isn't just beyond greedy, but he's also just a flat-out jerk. First of all, he sued some random grocery store for $8.9 million after they were having a $2 coupon sale for a steak in honor of Jordan making the Hall of Fame. They were literally respecting him, but nope, he copyrighted his name, claiming he worked too hard to make a name for himself for small companies to use it, and so, just as any normal person being praised by a grocery store would do, he sued them for $8.9 million. $8.9 million, let that sink in. The grocery store ended up going out of business because they respected Michael Jordan. It's ridiculous. Next, he didn't let his families attend his playoff games, which I just don't have an explanation for. I guess he just did things just to be a flat-out jerk. And if suing a grocery store for $8.9 million doesn't convince you that MJ is incredibly money hungry, what about his addiction to gambling, a hobby that gets people addicted to it due to its potential to win you crazy amounts of money? During the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks, he spent an entire night at the Atlantic City casinos, which was especially concerning considering the fact that at one point in that series, the Bulls were down 2-0. It's really clear Jordan loved money and the idea of getting more of it more than basketball. Fine, you just love Jordan so much that this is not enough evidence to prove my point. He also cheated in a card game against an elderly lady so he could earn some extra cash. You need more evidence? Is charging someone $15,000 to take a photo with him enough? This is ridiculous. He also punched Steve Kerr in the face, threatened to beat up Robert Parrish for not still being the player he once was with the Celtics despite him being 43 years of age, put Kwame Brown into tears after telling him he wasn't good enough to be a star player, potentially ruining his career, and tried to get Bill Cartwright off of his team by throwing him extra hard passes in practice and telling Bulls staff that Cartwright wasn't good enough to be on the team. I guess I could forgive him for one of these instances, but this really shows a lot about his personality as he continues to make more and more mistakes and just bad decisions that really haven't affected his reputation at all, and that's what I find mostly concerning. We have to recognize all of the bad things he has done more often. Now, this is all downright horrible by itself, but to think that the whole NBA world will completely hate on any other star if they did just one of the bad things that Jordan did just makes you realize how unfairly we treat other stars compared to the way we view MJ. Seriously, imagine LeBron James punching a teammate in the face, or spending entire nights gambling in the middle of playoffs, or maybe perhaps making someone pay $15,000 to take a picture with him. Nobody would ever take LeBron James seriously again if he did just one of these terrible things. His career would really be ruined. But since this was not abnormal behavior for MJ, and never in his career was he willing to stoop down to normal people's level and help them, he was barely ever criticized for any of these things. While it may just sound like I'm some dumb LeBron superfan, this is just an example. Try to imagine any other NBA player ever doing any of these things. It's pretty hard to imagine. But somehow, some way, Jordan has been able to get away with all of these things as if he has some sort of free pass, which is just so unfair. As we can all see, Jordan is a bully, and that's why currently he has 3 friends. 3. And this leads me to my next point. When you are the most famous NBA player in the history and a billionaire with an incredible mansion, you should be the most popular man on this planet. And so many people have given this guy a chance, most notably Charles Barkley, someone who Jordan befriended for a few weeks before simply ditching, which was simply heartbreaking for Barkley. In 2016, Sir Charles talked about his strange relationship with Jordan, saying this: "Some people, when you're their friend, they expect you to have your back no matter what. And my part of my job sucks sometimes when I have to criticize people like a friend." And what I said about Michael was that he had to do a better job of putting people around him, because I thought he had too many people around him that just did what he said to do, and he took it personal. He got really angry. And when asked about if he would ever forgive Jordan for what he did to Barkley, he said, well, that's not gonna happen. Yes, Charles Barkley isn't the nicest of people either, so being able to out-jerk someone as cocky and nasty as Sir Charles is actually pretty impressive and just kind of downright terrible. But nope, Jordan has 3 friends, consisting of Charles Oakley, Ron Harper, and the limo driver that drove Jordan to the Bulls games, who is now his personal assistant. Of course, Jordan loves those who work for him and serve him, and pretty much nobody else. Not Scottie Pippen, not Dennis Rodman, not Phil Jackson, not anyone that he couldn't have won a championship without, but one of the most hated players in the league, someone whose superstar career was ruined by Jordan, and a limo driver. I don't really have much of a problem with this until you think of the reasons why Jordan doesn't appreciate his other more significant teammates. Due to Scottie Pippen being broke after making just one bad investment in a jet he didn't know didn't fly, Jordan never viewed him as the same person ever again. And while at this time Pippen would have accepted any sort of help, Jordan, the billionaire, never spoke to him in private again, as he believed that due to his lack of money, he was just less than him. And this is how Jordan sees the normal person, and that's why I can't forgive him. He didn't make a mistake. This is just his personality, the way he is. So yeah guys, there's my attempt to find reasons to hate on Michael Jordan. I think this video is pretty good. I think my research really revealed a lot about Jordan. So what do you guys think? Tell me down in the comments below, and as always, have yourself a great day. Goodbye.
And Phil put Steve Kerr opposite of me. But he was giving Steve all the calls. And I'm getting like really ticked off. One thing led to another. Next thing you know, I fouled him real hard. He fouls me real hard. And then before I knew it, I hauled off and just whacked it right in the eye. All the anger, all the comments of people saying that my skills had eroded and I wasn't the same Michael Jordan. And I was letting everything go. Then Phil threw me out of practice.